So you've been delaying all of these very large expenses to maintain better cash flow in the near future. At some point, you're going to have to pay the piper. Welcome to How to Retire on Time, a show that answers your retirement questions. We're here to move past that oversimplified advice you've heard hundreds of times. Instead, we want to dive into the nitty-gritty because, well, frankly, there's no such thing as a perfect investment product or strategy. There are certain things you just need to know, so we want to dive into that. As always, text your questions to 913-363-1234 so we can feature them on the show. And remember, this is not financial advice. This is just a show, so do your research. David, what do we got today?
Hey, Mike. I'm getting 8% cash flow on my rental, but I don't want to be a landlord. What are my options?
First off, I doubt you're getting 8%. That's just not with it. You're either a slumlord that is just taking complete advantage of someone that's not priced appropriately, or you don't do a proper calculation. Now, that's not ignorance. That's not saying you're dumb. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, walk us through how we determine what our cash flow is. What is that?
So let's talk more about taxes. Schedule E, real estate.
Okay.
You'll want to understand the current market value of your property, not how much it was in 1982 when you bought it or whatever. What is it valued today? See how you can manipulate that? Well, I bought this house for $100,000 and I'm getting, $20,000 a year in rent. It's a 20% return every year. No, it's not. Now, that's an exaggerated bit, but landlords will do this. Well, I put this much money in there, and this is the result I'm getting from it. You need to account for the appreciation of the property as well.
Okay.
So what's the current market value of the property if you were to sell it today? Then second, what is the net operating income? So you need to account for your taxes, property taxes, and so on. You need to account for your any legal issues. Is there maintenance? Is there anything? What's the cost, the operating costs? And that's almost all shown on your Schedule E on your tax return. A lot of that's reported, not all of it, but a lot of it. Most of it should be reported there. Should be is the key word.
Yeah.
And then you need to ask yourself, is it a reasonable rate or not? So when I've done analyses, I've found that a lot of people think they're getting a good deal on their properties.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, when's the water tank due? Oh, that should be replaced. How about the AC units? Yeah, that should be replaced too. When are you going to put a new roof on that? Next year. Okay. So you've been delaying all of these very large expenses to maintain better cash flow in the near future. At some point, you're going to have to pay the piper. So once you understand a more holistic picture of what's going on, then you get a better idea of your actual cash flow. And then when you understand the cash flow, then you can understand your net operating income. Income is not cash flow. Cash flow is the rent that comes in and then where it all goes. Income is what you get to spend at the end of the day. And those are very different numbers.
So after the cash has flowed to wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, the expenses, the taxes, all the other places. At the end, what's your income if you spend it?
Yes.
And that's not just after taxes, all these things, because landlords will need to put a part of their cash flow into a reserve for larger expenses in the future. So when you start to understand that, you're probably getting at best 3-4%.
Oh, to be more realistic. And so have you ever met anybody that has come to that 3%, 4% on their own, or do most people really need like an independent set of eyes to say, no, it's really this? I've
found most people skew numbers to make themselves feel better about it. They want to distort it so they feel good about their investment. And their investment probably was really good for the first 20 years that you were in there. But at some point, things typically change.
Right.
The other part, too, is there have been people that thought they had positive cash flow, and once we do the analysis, they're actually losing money every year. So you've got to be mindful of how these calculations are done.
Yeah.
Then the next part of it is where could your money go? So if you're a landlord, you've probably been depreciating the asset. Depreciating the asset is the value of the property, the basis you put in there. You can basically write off on your tax return and depreciate the value to zero. Okay? But when you sell, it's called a depreciation recapture. You're going to pay taxes on everything you depreciated. So it's like the government let you pay less in taxes, but then they're going to ask for it back.
once you sell. Yeah.
Yep. Unless you die. Only way to get out of depreciation recapture is death. So when you understand that complexity, you have to ask yourself, okay, and I'm using an average number here. Let's say you got $1 million property. Do you really want to pay 30% or so in taxes? And how long is that really going to take? And you might say, well, the markets are averaging 10, 12%. That's what they have been.
Right.
There's a reason why everyone says past performance is not an indicator of future returns. We could be entering into a flat market cycle. What if we do? What if you sell the property, pay 30% in taxes, and you never actually get much growth for 10 years? You've got to weigh the risks. You may want to sell the property, pay the taxes because you've got more investment options at that point. You may decide, well, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe you move the property into a REIT. This is called a 721 UPREIT. And then you've got OP, operating partnership units, that you're then maintaining your cash flow. There's probably not much appreciation of the value of your units, but you're getting a higher cash flow. Okay, that's fine. That cash flow in that situation would be more like income because you don't really have expenses at that point. Maybe you decide to do a 1031 exchange into a Delaware statutory trust, which then would pay you income, so cash flow, and that's maybe around 4% or so. But the value, because it's fractional ownership of the property, so that's why it qualifies for a 1031 exchange, that value increases as well. So you're getting appreciation and you're getting the cash flow as well. So you've replaced your income, you're growing your wealth, all as well. That might be a better option for you. At some point, even if it makes financial sense to keep a property, from a lifestyle standpoint, it might not. Got to know your options.
Right. And so how do people get a DST or a REIT? Do they have to go through an advisor? Can they do it on their own? Is there an app that'll allow them to get it?
Yeah, it's not Robinhood. You have to go through a licensed professional. There's a couple of ways you could do it, but it's some sort of license because these are much more complicated. They're higher stakes. It's illiquid. You've got to go through a certain person, like a licensed financial advisor, just to get access to it.
I see.
And then you have to also use a qualified intermediary as well. There's a lot of layers to it. So you can't just go out and do it on your own. Like you can't go out and you can buy Apple stock today. You can't go out and buy a DST. And there's only a limited amount of DSTs or UPREITs really at any given time. So you want to do your research with someone that's independent on this to explore the different options and so on. But know your exit options, because at some point being a landlord stinks and you get tired of the tenants, trash, and toilets and you just want to move on. Even if your real estate is passive, it's not passive. Even if you have a management company that's managing it for you, you're still working. You're still managing stuff. You're still making decisions. You're still concerned about it on your vacations.
Right.
So if you really want to retire, you've got kind of those three options: pay the taxes, 721 UPREIT, or 1031 into a Delaware statutory trust. And all of them are right. And if you got multiple properties, maybe you sell one and pay the taxes. Maybe you do a DST with another. Maybe you do a REIT with the other. I mean, it's what is right for you. That's the ultimate underlining question.